players who I think could decide the NFL season. We did this in the fantasy one. Swig of water for the working man. We did this in the fantasy one. Players who could decide fantasy football, and I kind of like it. So these are the guys who I think will have a say on deciding how this NFL season goes. At 5, it's Devontae Adams. I don't think he's going to be that much of a game changer on the Raiders, but if he isn't happy with how things are out in Vegas, given how many teams this year have kind of taken the fantasy football strategy of just, well, punt on receiver, to be able to bring this guy in for half of a season and be able to make that push at the end to try to make it into the playoffs, he could be 100. Like, if he is just not happy with the Raiders and they trade him to a Buffalo, or they trade him to, I was going to say the Chargers, that might not move the needle quite as much. But a lot of those teams that were looking at Brandon Ayuk probably going to be looking over at a Devontae Adams right now, and trying to grow their team. And so if he can go to a team, he is that type of a player that I think can make a difference and kind of move the needle and get this team to where, or get that team to where they want to get to. At 4, it's Tua. He's not getting traded, but a lot of people are down on the Miami Dolphins this year because of how last season ended. I think if Tua Tagovailoa can take another step and he can keep this Miami Dolphins offense at an elite level for the whole season, the Dolphins legitimately could win a Super Bowl. That is how good I think this team is. But I do think it all kind of comes down to, how does Tua handle the pressure that is on him? How does Tua get the ball out? The offensive line took some hits this offseason. And so now how do they grow? And how does this offense continue to move? If he's nothing, then they're out of the playoffs and whatever. But if he can get this thing rolling, he absolutely could help the Miami Dolphins get to a Super Bowl. That's how good this team is. At 4, I had him in fantasy. I have to have him here. It's Jameson Williams. I think that he can be the last missing piece that this Detroit Lions offense was looking for, and he can be the guy who can kind of take off and lead this team, and just add another dynamic to this offense that makes them really go from great to elite. It's the one thing they were missing, and you saw it in the NFC Championship game when he was gone. He is another big play guy. I think all the puzzle pieces are there for Detroit this year to be able to go out and make a really big splash. At 2, it's Aaron Rodgers. If he gets hurt again, or if he is just kind of as cooked as I think he is going to be, then the New York Jets are just probably going to once again fade quietly, or not so quietly, into the night. But if he's good, and he can get Breece Hall the ball in good situations, if he can get Wilson the ball in good situations, if he can let that defense get a bit of a breather every now and then this Jets team deserves to be the betting favorite in the AFC East. And they deserve to be one of the favorites to make the Super Bowl out of the AFC. That's the swing that Aaron Rodgers can have. And at number 1, it's Travis Kelce. He was kind of in fuel conservation mode a little bit last season. And I think that is going to be the case again. At some point, it's going to fall off, and I'm not saying it's going to be this year. If it is, then I think the entire Super Bowl landscape is wide open. But if he can still be one of the better tight ends and one of the better pass catchers in the National Football League, then Kansas City is just again going to be one of the favorites to go off and win the whole thing for an unprecedented 3rd time in a row. And I think a lot of it with this offense hinges on Travis Kelce. So those are, I think, some of the guys who are the most important players in the NFL this season.